Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Anarchast, your home for anarchy on the internet. I have a great guest coming in from Colorado, although he lives most of the time in Panama. It's Ashe Whitener. He's with Euro Pacific Bank. He's also the host of the Liberty Entrepreneurs podcast. He's also an entrepreneur in general, and he's going to actually be speaking at Anarchapulco at our Anarchapulco Entrepreneurship Bootcamp, which is going to be awesome, by the way. If you've been looking at becoming an entrepreneur, or even if you are an entrepreneur, we're going to have numerous amazing entrepreneurs there, including myself, and telling you all sorts of things about how we conduct our own business and things like that. And I think it's going to be incredibly useful for a lot of people. So hopefully a lot of people show up for that. So I saw Ash actually just recently in Mexico City at the Bitcoin conference. He's a Bitcoin aficionado as well. And he'll be coming to Anarchapulco, as I pointed out. So Ash, great to talk to you again. And but the first question I got to ask you, though, is how did you become an anarchist?
Well, thanks for inviting me on the show, Jeff. I have always been a skeptical person. I mean, I can even remember back when I was a child, questioning authority any chance in any way that I could, always asking my parents why, always wondering if it was true what the church was telling me. And the teachers didn't like me very much because I was always raising my hand and asking questions. So being a skeptic is, me from the very beginning. Take it forward till 2007, 2008, big crash came. I'm in my mid-20s or so, and I lose half of my 401k. And this really kicked me in the butt because I didn't know anything. And so I start researching markets, and a buddy of mine, a colleague actually, introduced me to Ron Paul. And I'm sure a lot of your listeners are very familiar with Ron Paul and probably got their foot into the Liberty door with Ron Paul. And the things that Ron Paul would say about the government, up to that point, I'd been apolitical. But then Paul started, really helping me question the role of government and what is the role of government, if any at all, at that point. And so, Ron Paul got me into the door. Then I started clicking on every single podcast I can listen to, yours and Tom Woods, and Stefan Molyneux was a big influence for me. He's the one that I credit for helping me come to a very consistent and philosophical understanding of the non-aggression principle, which of course that means government is gone.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I wish it was gone, but
right. Well, in my mind, it's gone.
Yeah. Well, they're still around, unfortunately, but I totally understand what you're saying, and that's great. And yes, Ron Paul, I believe, is pretty much the number one. I think I've asked this question over 230 times now, and I think that's got to be the number one answer is Ron Paul. So that's actually really good. A lot of anarchists will say we should never have anything to do with politics, and I totally understand why they say that, but you have to admit that a guy who was in the political system is what created probably more anarchists, possibly a lot, than anyone alive today.
Yeah, he definitely got my foot in the door. I was a minarchist for a long time with Ron Paul, maybe from 2008 to about 2010 or 11 or so. I even thought about running for Congress for a while. I was being really pushed from where I was working in Raleigh, North Carolina at the time. And people were like, you would be a great politician. And hey, maybe, but with Ron Paul, with that foot in the door, I was able to, Lou Rockwell was the first anarchist I'd ever heard of. And so I went to lourockwell.com every single day, reading all of the articles I could. I think up to that point, I had listened to every podcast that Lou Rockwell had put out. And then, it started getting normalized. Jeffrey Tucker is an anarchist. Well, this guy's very, very eloquent, and he has such a positive demeanor about him. How can I thought anarchists were supposed to be evil, right? or they were supposed to be these weird people wearing black all the time. And then Tom Woods and Stefan Molyneux. It's just been a great journey.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many misconceptions about the word anarchy, and many people have also said I shouldn't even use the word because it's so misunderstood, but I like to not give up things so easily. and of course, then you have the whole anarcho-communist side who say that we stole the word anarchy because, if you really look at it, the more anarcho-capitalist or the more non-communist people who say they're anarchists now, they've been much more successful than any anarcho-communist around at getting the word out about what this actually is and what it means and why it's so great. And I think part of that is that most people who identify as anarcho-communists are losers and idiots who can't, I don't mean to denigrate them, but I've seen a lot of them, and they're hopeless. They don't know how to do anything. They usually live in their mom's basement. They hate capitalism, and they sit around at Starbucks and drink their Starbucks and get on their iPhone and talk about how much they hate capitalism. So I think we're kind of winning that word back, but a lot of people like to just call themselves voluntarists, which I think is a great word to use as well, because when you're trying to talk to your average person and trying to tell them what your ideas are, your beliefs, and you say anarchist, that can really throw it off the rails very quickly. But if you say voluntarist, it's like, whoa, that sounds very nice.
Yeah, I mean, I literally just had a conversation with someone last night. I went to a philosophy meetup, and nobody had heard the real peaceful anarchist or anarcho-capitalist argument before. And, you know, we do have an advantage on the anarcho-communists because they don't understand the market, right? They can't leverage the power of the market and the beauty of the mutually beneficial relationships and how to build wealth like we understand. So they're going to hate corporations. And hey, there's a lot of reasons. I understand why they hate corporations. But
corporations are a function of the state. They wouldn't exist in that form in a free market. So we're on board with them on that too.
That's right.
I wish more of them would realize that, but they just seem to think that any sort of business, anytime anyone provides a service or a product to someone else, it's evil for some reason. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I just wish they would start more businesses like you said, Jeff.
Well, that's the thing, and that's what we're talking about at this entrepreneurship bootcamp to some extent is unless you've sort of started your own business, you really have no idea what it's like. There's this, and this again comes from all kinds of propaganda now for decades, because the real people really running the governments and really behind the governments are essentially trying to institute a one world government that's essentially communist. And their idea of communism is everyone's dirt poor and has a horrible life except for the people who run the government, the one world government, like the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers. They'll all do very well. Just like in the Soviet Union, the people who ran the government were all eating caviar and things like that while everyone else was lining up for bread. That's what they want. But most people don't understand what it takes to start a business. They put it, and they run Hollywood, most of the movies, and they'll try to say all these business people, they're all so greedy and terrible. And yeah, sure, there is a lot of greedy people. There is a lot of corporations, which usually are under being protected by the government, that do some really heinous things like Monsanto and all that kind of stuff. And we're against that, I think, for the most part. I know I am. But most people have no idea. And a lot of people who have never started a business think, well, someone who has started a business and they're doing well, they're a bad person. And that's absolute insanity.
Yeah, they don't understand that the entrepreneur is trying to find a pain in society and try to solve that pain for someone. That's their client. Like for me in my podcast, like I looked around and I saw a bunch of burned out, angry libertarians that are starting to get a bit fed up with the political process. And so since our philosophy is so deeply entrenched in the free market, that I wanted to try to bring another perspective on how to use the free market to achieve freedom in your personal life.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what it is. The free markets, that's what capitalism generally is. Capitalism, of course, another word that's totally misunderstood or misused or not agreed upon a definition. But when I say capitalism, I just mean people transacting voluntarily. It's so much better. And you pointed out that a true entrepreneur, their whole goal is to find somebody who has problems and try to fix it. Either try to make a better thing to help them or find a way to offer them the same thing for a cheaper price. It's incredibly noble, really. And you've started up Liberty Entrepreneurs Podcast, so that's you're definitely focused on that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you try to convey to people via that podcast?
Yeah, so the idea is that we libertarians or voluntarists or whatever you want to call us, we have the benefit of deeply understanding the marketplace. And the marketplace is where all wealth is built. I mean, you were talking earlier about how the government can make us equal, but we're all going to be equally poor and eating dirt, right? While they sit up at the top and eat caviar. Well, Liberty Entrepreneurs, the idea is to help people get into the mindset of building their own lifestyle of freedom and flexibility. So taking control of your time, building your business, networking with whoever you think you need to network and talk to, right, to build your business, taking control of your finances, being able to hire people and create jobs and allow other people to build a lifestyle that they want to use. It's a very positive message that I'm trying to create in the podcast, as opposed to worrying or concentrating on things that you may not necessarily be able to control, like ending the war on drugs or ending the war in the Middle East or auditing the Fed. Look, I made audit the Fed signs. I can't tell you how many signs I've waved for Ron Paul. I went to DC and marched on Washington. I helped fund the blimp, but at a certain point I had to step back and say, I don't have a lot of control over what the Fed does. What can I control? And what I can control is my time, my energy, my focus, my abilities, my talents, and start building something with that. And now I've got multiple businesses and multiple projects that I'm working on, and I enjoy what I'm doing, right? I've been very lucky, but through a lot of hard work, I've been able to build a lifestyle where I'm a permanent resident in Panama, but I can travel. I work completely remotely and online. This gives me the flexibility to go to Southeast Asia. I'm planning a 3-month trip to Southeast Asia, and I could just pick up and leave on a dime, right? And this is the type of flexible and independent lifestyle that I'm trying to get guests on the show, like you or like Andreas Antonopoulos, and how he talked about building a brand, and help people start thinking not what can I attack or what can I fight or how can I end the Fed or something like that, but what can I do in my own personal life to try to free myself up as much as possible. I think the free market and the entrepreneurial process is the way to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I just saw a video. I'm going to see if our video guy, Pete Gorman, who's an amazing video guy, by the way, and he's essentially an entrepreneur. So if you want video production, you should contact him. Hopefully not too many people contact him, because I like to take up most of his time. But I always tell him, just hire more people if you need to do. But maybe Pete can find this video. It's by that guy. I forget his name, but he hosts Family Feud, black guy.
Steve Martin? Is that the guy?
No, I think that's a white guy. But it was the guy who screwed up at the Miss Universe pageant, Harvey or something.
Oh, Steve Harvey.
Steve Harvey, that's what it was. Yeah. I just saw this video, and I'm going to see if I can dig it up, that right before he hosted Family Feud, I guess before he does it, he comes out, he talks to the audience, and he gave this great speech about taking the jump that really was saying to go for your dreams, and how... well, I won't try to put words in his mouth. I'm pretty sure I can find the video. So let's see if we can put it up right now.
I'm going to share something with you. I'm going to tell you something that every successful person has to do, including you. Believe it or not, every successful person in this world has jumped. I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. You are going to have to jump. You cannot just exist in this life. You have got to try to live. If you are waking up thinking that there's got to be more to your life than it is, man, believe that it is. Believe in your heart of hearts that it is. But to get to that life, you're going to have to jump. I'll tell you why I call it jumping. See, God, when he created all of us, he gave every last one of us a gift at birth. He never created a soul without endowing them with a gift. You just got to quit looking at gifts as running, jumping, singing, dancing. It's more than that. It's if you know how to network, if you can connect dots, if you draw, if you teach. Some of y'all fry chicken better than anybody else, bake pie. Some of you cut hair, color hair. Some people do grass. I got a partner, man, never wanted to go out with us because we stayed out too late. Come on, man, go out with me. No, I got to get up early, Mom, cutting Miss Johnson's grass. We kept laughing at this dude, cutting grass. How much they pay you? He got a landscaping company in Cleveland worth $4 million. Because all he do is cut grass. But he was gifted at it. I got a partner on a detail shop, make $800,000 a year detailing cars. He got 6 mobile trucks running around. $800,000 a year. All he do is detail cars. That's his gift. That's what he loved to do. You've got to identify that gift. Now listen to me. When you see people in life, when you're standing on the cliff of life and you see people soaring by, when you see people soaring, going to exotic places, you hear about them doing wonderful things. Maybe you look up the street and your neighbor just gets a car every year, every 2 years. You know, how is he doing that? Have you ever thought, maybe this person right here has identified their gift and is living in their gift? Because your Bible says, your Bible says your gift will make room for you. Your gift, not your education. You go get an education, that's nice. But if you don't use your gift, that education only gonna take you so far, man. I know a lot of people got degrees, man, they ain't even using them. It's your gift. But the only way for you to soar is you got to jump. You got to take that gift that's packed away on your back. You got to jump off that cliff and pull that cord. That gift opens up and provides the soar. If you don't ever use it, you're going to just go to work. And if you're getting up going to work on a job every day that you hate going to, that ain't living, man. You just existed. At one point in time, you ought to see what living's like. But the only way to see what living like, you got to jump. And here's the problem. I'm going to just be real with you. When you first jump, let me tell you something. Your parachute will not open right away. I'm sorry. I wish I could tell you it did, but it don't. When you jump, it's not going to open right away. You're going to hit them rocks. You're going to get some skin tore off on them cliffs. You're going to get all your clothes tore off. You're going to get some cuts on you. You're going to be bleeding pretty bad. But eventually, the parachute has to open. That is a promise of God. That ain't a theory, that's a promise. His promises is true, because listen to me. You cannot name one single thing God has not gotten you through. Name it. And if he ain't got you through it, he currently pulling you through it right now. And the living proof of it is you sitting in here. If he hadn't got you through it, you wouldn't even be here. So if he ain't never not got you through it, why would he not let your parachute open? It has to open, man. But it ain't, you gotta jump though. Now, here's another thing. You can play it safe and deal without the cuts and the tears. And you can stand on that cliff of life forever safe. But if you don't jump, I got another promise I can make you. Your parachute will never open. You'll never know. You'll never know what God really has for you. See, your God has a wonderful life for you. Once again, I'm going to refer to your Bible. Now, you go down there, you memorize these scriptures, you don't apply them to yourself. Your Bible says that he comes to give you life and give you life more abundantly. If I were you, I would jump. Because that's the only way to get to that abundant life. You got to jump, man. You got to take a chance. Now, when I get through talking, there are those of you who discuss this in the car. Well, I got bills, and I got bills. Whether you stay on the cliff or you jump, you're going to have bills. Well, if I quit my job, I'm going to ruin my credit. If you got a job, you living check to check. Even if you got A1 credit, you can't buy nothing else, no damn way. At one point in time, man, do yourself a favor. Go see what God really do. God hold you up, man. He ain't gonna let you fall. He ain't bring you this far to let you fall. Do yourself a favor, man. Before you leave this world, before you die, jump. Just jump one time. Just jump. Thank you very much.
A lot of people just don't take that chance. They go through, they get a job, and that's all they do. And many people hate their jobs. And really taking that jump is something that everyone should try at least once. And he makes a good point when he says that, the first time you jump, you're going to hit the rocks below. You're going to be all bloodied up and everything. But that's going to actually make you stronger. And eventually, you will succeed if you are really, truly passionate about what you want to do in life. And I found it really quite like a great speech, but it also is a great point about entrepreneurialism in that it is not easy. There's definitely days or weeks where I wake up and say, what am I doing? This is so hard. Why didn't I just take a job and, get my paycheck and, you take the easy way? But you just pointed out that there's so many great rewards from it as well. So it's not for everyone, I don't think. I don't think every single person could be an entrepreneur.
No, and I don't think that we need every person to be an entrepreneur. I mean, we need people that can specialize in certain skills, like accounting or stuff like that. The entrepreneur needs to work with both types of people. The people that come in are more employees, and they need to work with other entrepreneurs. But coming back to what you said about, hey, being an entrepreneur can be very scary. Yeah, you're exactly right. Not only are we not taught in school, most of us went to public school, myself included. Not only are we not taught anything about building a business or anything about entrepreneurship or the entrepreneurial process
On purpose.
on purpose, and we're actually taught quite the opposite, that evil and greedy capitalists and businessmen are going to, take and steal and lie and cheat from you, and that's why we need government licenses, and that's why we need the FDIC approved, on our banks, and that's why we need all this protection to help save you from entrepreneurs or businessmen or the greedy capitalists or whatever they want to call it. So that's another, goal of Liberty Entrepreneurs is, well, hey, we know you weren't taught this, right? So we're trying to help you have a resource so that you can get inside the minds and the experiences and the lessons and the successes and failures of entrepreneurs who are doing it right now. Because you're not going to learn it in university or in public school.
Yeah, and I actually put that. We have on, if you just go to anarchapulco.com/workshops/entrepreneurship, or just go to anarchapulco.com and type in under workshops. Sorry, my chihuahua's barking here. Type in entrepreneur bootcamp. I said that you can learn more probably in that one day that we're going to be there than you would learn in 4 years of business school. And I really believe that. From what I've seen of people who've come out of business school, it's just amazing how they don't know anything about actually how to start a business or how to operate a business after 4 years and probably spending tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I can't count the number of people that I've met who are trying to run businesses who've never created a standard operating procedure or a workflow process of some sort. So they're stuck working in their business and than working on their business. Because if you're doing the day-to-day tasks inside your business every day, well, you're not really an entrepreneur. You're a solopreneur. You've created your own business, but it requires you at all times to run and function. Well, the good entrepreneurs are able to learn the processes, write these processes down, and then hire and delegate. That's a lot. That composes a lot more talents and skills than to be able to just work everything yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that some people don't know is that most good entrepreneurs, they're constantly searching for someone who's smarter than them and better at them.
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny because if you look at, most government bureaucracies or even corporate bureaucracies, which are huge, some of these mega corporations, it seems like anyone who's hiring, they're always looking for someone who's not as smart as them, because if they're smarter than them, they're going to get their job. Whereas as an entrepreneur, you want somebody to take your job. It's like, please. Absolutely. Take it all. And I'll keep some of the equity, of course, but please take my job.
Yeah, I am always trying to hire my weaknesses. I'm weak at web development, right? I'm weak in design. And so anytime I meet someone, I try to ask them, what are your passions? What are you good at? What are your talents? And try to see if we can work together. Maybe we can. Maybe we can't. Most time we can't. But maybe we can. You may meet that one bartender who is a struggling web designer, and you just happen to need a website to get put up very quickly, and he can do it for you for very cheap. Well, the entrepreneur is talking and asking questions and being curious. I think curiosity is one of the main personality traits of a good entrepreneur, because if you're not asking people questions and you're just talking all the time, then you're not going to learn a lot. And who knows what somebody's talents are. And I would love to hire somebody to build websites, because I wasted so much time trying to figure out WordPress. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting story. You were one of the original members of Peter Schiff's Euro Pacific Bank. I'm a friend of Peter Schiff is a friend. I know him. I think I was one of the first people to kind of talk him into Bitcoin. Peter Schiff's an interesting fellow in that his father, Irwin Schiff, who just passed away recently, unfortunately, was a major tax, I don't know what you call him, tax, what was the word that you would call him, tax denier? Or
I think he just tried to help people understand the tax code, and the government really doesn't want us to understand the tax code. And he found some very quality arguments about the income tax, And unfortunately, the government made an example out of him, and he died in prison.
Yeah, which is really sad. But essentially, a lot of things he was saying, you could almost say were quite anarchist, although I think he would probably define himself as more of a constitutionalist, and that was sort of the argument that he was using, was that there is nothing in the Constitution about federal income tax, and the IRS is unconstitutional, which is totally correct. But you know, if you say that, you will end up if you're popular enough and spreading that message, they will put you in a cage, and they did that with him. Now, I think that sort of affected Peter quite a bit, in that I think he's quite quiet about his political beliefs because of that. But one of the interesting things about Peter Schiff at Euro Pacific Bank is, especially at their offshore company in St. Vincent, is they won't even answer the phone from Americans because they don't want to even get involved in the entire U.S. government regulation and all that sort of a thing, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, that's right. We don't. I was one of the original members back in early 2012 when the bank was just incorporated, not too long before that. And I'm currently the head of business development, which oversees 1,000 partnerships around the world that refer us business in. But yeah, we chose not to do business with U.S. clients because the compliance overhead makes them, for the most part, unprofitable. And so whenever I was more on the phones and a sales guy, and we'd get Peter Schiff's leads in, we'd call these people. And when I found out it was an American, I would tell them, we can't open up accounts for OFAC countries, Iran, North Korea, or other communist countries like the United States.
I like it. Yeah. So, but other than that, though, if you're not American, people should take a look at Euro Pacific Bank. I'm a big fan of your products. You've got numerous great products, essentially a gold or precious metal backed ATM or debit card. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Peter Schiff really pushed the envelope on trying to add liquidity to gold and silver, and this is a product that we're very proud of. Basically, we store our clients' gold and silver, physical bullion gold and silver, at the Perth Mint in Australia, which should be very well known to all your listeners. And what people are able to do is they're able to log into their account 24 hours a day, sell gold or silver, and so they can keep all their savings in gold and silver, and then use that proceeds to fund up the debit card. And hopefully soon we're going to have it so don't even have to sell your gold or silver. You can just go and swipe your debit card, and it'll automatically be sold via the MasterCard system. So it's a great currency hedge, especially against the U.S. dollar and the inflation that all us Austrians are expecting at some point as the U.S. loses its reserve currency status of the world. So you can save in gold and silver, but still have the convenience of a MasterCard, which is accepted in over 120 countries, over 1 million places worldwide accept MasterCard. So it really adds liquidity to gold and silver, which I think is one of the things that's holding gold and silver back right now.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're one of your affiliates for EuroPac, sure. And I think we have a URL. So if you sign up, we'll put the URL somewhere on this video. You sign up, I think we get a little commission for it. And I think even the people who sign up get something out of it. You'd know better than me. Is that right?
Yeah, well, people that sign up through your affiliate account, we can offer them a free bank account with it's no opening fees. There's still the monthly charges, but I think it's like $5 for a personal account. So it's nearly nothing. But it won't cost them anything to open up an account with us. You can check us out at europacbank.com, EUROPAC bank.com.
Great. And we'll put the link to my affiliate down below. So if you want, I can make some money. I'm a capitalist. It's great.
Exactly.
We all help each other. And so, yeah, it's going to be great having you here at Anarchapulco at the Entrepreneurship Bootcamp. I think it's going to be really exciting. Last year we had Exobase, which hosted it, which was very well, did very well. But this is going to be totally different. So even if you went to Exobase's 2-day bootcamp last year, we're going to have a 1-day one this year. And it's going to have, along with myself and Ash Whitener, we're also going to have Joby Weeks, who started up numerous companies. This guy's quite an entrepreneur. He started up Mountain Hours, which is a currency which is used all over the place still to this day. He was involved in an energy drink. I think it was called Glow. I think it went bad, but that's part of what we're going to be talking about. I've started up numerous things that have gone bad as well, and this is part of the things that we'll be talking about. We'll have Callan Diggs, who's the author of Reaching the Finish Line. He's also a consultant. He's helped over 2,000 5,000 people with careers in developing their own businesses. Bob Podolsky, who has very interesting concepts for anarchists on being entrepreneurs, including something called a hollow mat, which I'm not even really sure what that is. So we're going to have a number of very interesting people. And here's the funnest part, I think, is at the very end, we're going to have the Anarchapulco Shark Tank. So for anyone who's there, and hopefully it's going to be quite a few people, although we will keep it limited. So if you do want to get in, you should register today, and we'll have the links to that all down below. But if you want to, you can pitch us an idea, or if you already have a business, you can pitch us your business. And all of us who have a number of experience doing these sort of things will give our critique of it. And hopefully that can help you out with what you're doing. And if, just like on the Shark Tank, if all of us say it sucks and it's a bad idea and don't do it, don't just not do it, because we could be wrong. Yeah, we could be totally wrong. That's how business is. There's been so many people who have pitched me ideas in the past, and I said, that'll never work, and totally worked. You really don't know until you get into the marketplace. But, getting that information from people who have done it before can be of use, and possibly can point out some things that you are trying to do that we've had problems trying to do in the past and try to help you out. Like, for example, Ash, you are very well experienced at running an international team, which is very important in today's day and age with the internet. Me personally, I actually don't ever have employees. This is something I'll talk about at the Entrepreneurship Bootcamp as well. I don't consider anyone to be an employee. I consider them to be partners or contractors at the very least. So, for example, Pete Gorman, our video guy, he's not my employee. I contract him for work. And same with everyone that I work with. And these people are in Cambodia, Uruguay, Canada, US, all over the place. And I know you do that as well. And I think it's very useful and valuable. And you can actually, you don't just have to look for people who are all in one city to work for you. Thanks to the internet, we can really do this.
Yeah, and it's really great because like my web designer is currently in Taiwan. So, I go to bed at night. When I wake up, she has all these updates for me and changes to the website and, all these improvements. And it's really great because it's like time arbitrage, like it's time zone arbitrage. It's what you're able to do whenever you are working with people all around the world. And I've trained and worked with people in Canada and Mexico and, all over Europe, Israel, Australia, Taiwan. I mean, really everywhere. And it's, we're pushing the envelope, Jeff. I mean, this is something that you simply couldn't do 10 years ago or 20, especially
Definitely
20 years ago.
Definitely not 20 years ago, no. Impossible.
Yeah. Yep. And so
you'd be sending
now,
like a fax over to the person in Singapore. Yeah. No, it wouldn't work.
But it allows us now to use the entire globe to search for talent. And for me, I'm on a constant journey to try to search for talent. Human capital and human talent has got to be the most difficult puzzle piece into building a successful business, at least in my experience.
Oh, I totally agree with that. I've always said that. I think almost anyone who's an entrepreneur or a business person will say getting the right people is always the hardest part. But there's many tricks to finding those right people. And one of them is that I do is every single time I'm doing something, it doesn't even matter what I could be in a taxi in New York talking to the guy. If the guy says something interesting about he knows how to do this thing, or he knows somebody does something, I take note of that and I'll get his information and I'll just put a little note in my contacts like, okay, if I need like an Indian call center, this guy's got a connection there.
Right.
And I might not even need it right now, but who knows, maybe a year from now I'll have a need for it and I'll have a contact. So you're just constantly building your contact list throughout your life. And no matter what you're doing or where you are, these are just sort of little tips that we'll be giving people at this boot camp about how we have done these things over the course of our lives and how it has helped. And another one I'll give I've got literally hundreds of these that I'll be giving out at the boot camp, but another one that I'll just say right now is never burn a bridge. I don't know how many times somebody has done something that I could have really gotten mad. I could have said, you're an idiot. I never want to talk to you again. But instead of doing that, I just go, okay, that didn't work out. Talk to you later. And so many times, this has happened dozens or possibly hundreds of times. It's turned out that I've needed them for something at some point in the future, and it ended up working out really well because I didn't burn the bridge. Never burn a bridge.
Yeah, and it's amazing, like, even if you see the world slightly differently than someone, like maybe someone's a socialist and you're like, oh my God, I can't stand hanging out with socialists. Well, maybe that socialist is an incredible accountant or knows an incredible accountant, right? And so you're right, with not burning that bridge and just accepting, hey, we see the world differently. You know, we kind of agree to disagree thing, but it's amazing how business can bring people back together.
Absolutely. So we're going to have so much of this all in one day. So, if you're a younger person, or even not even younger, it doesn't matter what age you are. But if you are younger and you're thinking, oh, should I go to college? I want to get into something. I'm not sure what I want to do yet, but I'll go sign up for business administration for 4 years. I would really suggest just coming to this. I think the price, let me look at it. I don't even know. I think it's $145 for
Super
one day.
cheap.
Yes, it's an incredible value, really. I'm not saying that to sell it. It really is. To spend all day in a room with a bunch of professional entrepreneurs, people who have done this before, a lot of experience, and to get that experience is, I really recommend it if you're looking at getting into things like this. And of course, we're going to have so many other workshops at the Anarchapulco. This is really part of what we're trying to do, Ash, is try to get like this whole week where people can learn a lot of stuff and get involved with a lot of different things. So for example, we've got, of course, got the Dollar Vigilante, internationalization investment summit. So on that day, if you're interested in anything to do with investing or internationalization, and we're also going to be talking about this to some extent at the Entrepreneurship Bootcamp about how to set up your companies so that you can get them in non-tax jurisdictions, all very easily and all very legally. And that's, I think Europac actually does some of that as well. I think you guys set up corporations too, don't you?
Absolutely. In all the major jurisdictions, I mean, Belize, Seychelles, Panama, I mean, UK companies, everything. We will accept, a lot of different types of corporate jurisdictions. Yeah.
So we'll be talking about that. We also have the Unschooling a Peaceful Parenting workshop. So if you are a parent, or even if you're not, but you're thinking of becoming one, but you're not sure how all this unschooling works, you're not sure how not hitting your kids works, Dana Martin, who's a real expert on that, will be teaching that. We're also going to have the Direct Dating Summit with Sasha Daygame. So this is an interesting one. So many libertarians, many anarchists aren't all that socially good at, socially, especially with women and things like that. But the interesting thing is that by going to his Direct Dating Summit and learning how to interact with women, you also learn how to interact with everybody, just improving your social skills. And that's another incredibly important thing as an entrepreneur, is just being able to talk well with other people, to communicate is incredibly important. If you don't have that, you're going to have a hard time in anything in life, much less starting your own business. So we also have Change Media Bootcamp. So Luke Radowski, Dan Dix of Press for Truth. I think even Adam Kokesh might even join in on that one. So if you want to do anything in regards to media, there'll be a one-day thing on that, and it'll just be amazing. Just like this Entrepreneurship Bootcamp, you can learn pretty much years worth of stuff in one day for just a little over $100. So that's what we're really trying to do. So I'm really glad that you're getting involved, Ash. It was great seeing you in Mexico City, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun here in Acapulco next month on the beach.
Yeah, Jeff, I'm really looking forward to it. It'll be my first time in Acapulco, so I can't wait.
Great. So if you like this video, just please like, subscribe, share down below. Check out Anarchapulco. It's going to be February 19th to 21st here in Acapulco, Mexico. And then we have the workshops before and after, including an ayahuasca ceremony if you're into those sort of things as well. So we're going to have everything here all within a week. So hopefully see a lot of you down. And I know there's we're getting a ton of registrations right now. So it may sell out before the event. So if you do want to come, please register. And we'll have the links to that all down below. So that's it for Anarchast, your home for anarchy on the internet. Peace, love, and anarchy.
Like probably a lot of comedians, had just a brutal childhood where dad ran away, had no love. I, just got lots of abuse from my mom. So I was really a shy kid. I didn't have any social skills. There was nobody around to teach me anything. Certainly when it came to meeting and seducing women, I was just awkward.
Yeah, I never would have guessed that I'd be in this place in my own journey of advocacy. I remember being on your show and feeling really kind of lost as to what you stood for. But totally open to it. And you were so patient with me and didn't judge me that I didn't really have a clue. You just educated me about it and shared with me. And I think you definitely have that gift to meet people where they're at without judgment and point out the ways in which they're already living anarchy and living as an anarchist. And that was so helpful to me because a lot of times communities tend to be really cliquey and they hold on to this knowledge and you have to get into these groups, and you were just all about just helping me understand where I was already living it. So once we did that first interview, it opened a lot of doors for me. I started researching it, and to be honest,
Acapulco, Mexico. This is Anarchast.